Hello there. For anybody coming to my channel who is new, my name is Angie Wade, and I wanted to share my hysterectomy story. Today is actually Monday, November 2nd, and I am scheduled for a hysterectomy on Wednesday, November 4th. I've been doing a lot of looking around on YouTube to find other women's experiences with hysterectomy, and I found a lot of different videos that dealt with like fibroids or endometriosis or different multiple issues that we as women can go through that may require a hysterectomy. And I didn't really find anything that was for my particular situation, so I thought I would share that journey in case anybody else out there has this same issue. But what I'm dealing with is post-ablation syndrome, and it could also, I've got some notes here, it could also be post-ablation tubal sterilization syndrome. But anyway, let me back up a little bit. 5 years ago, in October, I had a uterine ablation. I had a few fibroids, and I was having extremely heavy bleeding and cramps and, a lot of issues that way. I still had pretty regular periods at that time. They were just extremely heavy, to the point where there were days where I had to wear a jacket around my waist at work and leave work early because after sitting for a while, and I'm going to be straightforward with you guys because that's what I like to see when I was looking up videos, but I would have blood run down my legs. That happened to me a few times, and that was very disturbing to me. But anyway, that was the whole reason that I had the uterine ablation, because some women will have that surgery and they'll just completely stop having periods altogether. Other women will just have lighter periods, and that was what my experience was I stopped having those really horrific periods and started having, to me, they reminded me more of periods that I had had when I was on the pill. They remained regular, but they would just last, like 4 days, and would be a normal flow, that kind of thing. I usually would have to wear like tampons one day out of the 4, and then the other days I could get by with pads just fine. And then a couple of years ago, things started changing again. I started getting heavy periods again. They started getting really irregular. Like, there would be a month maybe I wouldn't have one at all. There'd be a month where I would have 2. I would have cycles that would only last, I had one only, I had a period, and then I had a week with no period, and then I had one the next week. And then I started having like 15-day cycles, and then they started just being all over the board. And I just turned 50 October 21st, so just, a couple of weeks ago I turned 50. And I was thinking that maybe I was having problems with my periods because I'm starting perimenopause, and thought that, it was just hormonal, and that was the whole reason that all of this was happening. And then as the months progressed, it just started getting worse and worse, and it started getting to be like it was before I had the ablation. And then in addition to the extremely heavy periods, I've been having so much pain. And at first the pain started just being like during my cycles, and it was getting really bad. And when I say really bad, any of you that have gone through labor, it's like that, where you have the extreme cramping, it hurts all the way into your back, you can't sleep, you can't find a comfortable position. It's just, some months it could get agonizing. And so I told my doctor, my regular doctor, I was going through all this, and I think he was thinking that, you know, might be related to the perimenopause, hormones, all that. Suggested that I see a gynecologist because I was just going to my regular doctor for my annual pap smears. And so I told him, you know, let's kind of play it by ear for a little while, and then I would go. And he prescribed some pain pills for me. They're just naproxen. They're like just a higher milligram of naproxen because I really don't want to take anything heavier than that. So he prescribed those. For a couple of months, they kind of helped, and then they kind of just stopped working. And then not only was I getting the pain during my cycles, I was having it almost every single day. And it wasn't just during the cycles, and it just depends on the day. Some days it would just be like this dull ache. And for me, it's like down in my left, I thought it was ovary pain, because that's kind of where it feels like it's occurring, the everyday pain. And so I got an ultrasound because I fully expected to find like a cyst, and there was nothing there, which I didn't understand. But the ultrasound did see like fluid buildup, like little pockets of fluid around my uterus. So at that point, I did go see a gynecologist. She also did a CAT scan, and she said that, you know, just judging from, I don't think they'll know for a fact until I have my hysterectomy exactly what it is, but she suspects post-ablation syndrome. And she's judging that on the fact that after an ablation, scar tissue can build up. And then behind that scar tissue, the fluid, the blood from your periods can gather, and your uterus is trying to get rid of it, and it can't because it's trapped back behind that scar tissue. And so you're constantly cramping, and it can just be really painful. And then I think your body eventually just reabsorbs it, but it's like this vicious cycle. It just keeps happening over and over again. And when I was reading online, there are some women that even have that happen where the scar tissue goes over their cervix, and so they can't have nothing will come out, and it's just can be horrific with the pain. But also when I was reading about things, I came across some articles that not only talked about post-ablation syndrome, but there's also one that's called post-ablation tubal sterilization syndrome that can happen to women who have had a tubal ligation. And many years ago, I had a tubal ligation. So I won't know until after the hysterectomy and they do the pathology which I have. Do I have the kind that's with, you know, that women that have had a tubal ligation, tubes tied? Because there it also, the fluid even backs up into what's left of the fallopian tubes, because they don't remove the whole tube. In my instance, they just removed a portion of it, so that sperm cannot travel up the fallopian tubes and, you know, unite with an egg and all of that. So I'm to the point now where I have to have a hysterectomy because this doesn't go away. And so I have this little chart here, the kind of hysterectomy I am going to have. This here, all you women out there, you're probably pretty familiar with the reproductive system of us women. But there's one where you can have a partial hysterectomy where they leave the cervix. There is a total hysterectomy where they take out everything except the ovaries. And then a radical hysterectomy is they take out everything including the ovaries. I am having a total hysterectomy where I'm going to have my cervix, my uterus, and what remains of my fallopian tubes removed. I'm keeping my ovaries. From talking to my gynecologist, and also I looked at some research from the Mayo Clinic. I'm not an expert. I'm not claiming to be, but multiple studies have been done, and there's really no benefit to keeping the cervix. the only, because, and if you do keep it, my phone rang, so if there's a gap, that's why. Anyway, I have chosen not to keep the cervix, because if you keep the cervix, you still have to have annual pap smears. You still have a chance of having uterine cancer. And also, believe it or not, you can still bleed monthly, because there are cells in the cervix that may still bleed. I never knew that, but I don't want to, if I'm going to go through all of this, I want to be done with periods completely. I don't want to deal with them anymore. So that's why I've chosen to have that removed. And I've chosen to keep my ovaries, because I want to have, normal sexual function, because when you get them removed, you can have, sorry, you will definitely go into menopause if you have them removed. And if you don't, you'll still be producing the hormones, the estrogen that the ovaries produce. You're not supposed to have issues. Well, I'll see, and I will share with you guys. You're supposed to still be able to have lubrication in your vagina, all of that. Still supposed to have all those sexual feelings. I don't want that to go away, and I know there are ways to deal with that if the ovaries are removed. But right now, I'm only 50. I don't want to go through menopause right now. It's a personal choice. There is no history of ovarian cancer in my family. That's a major impact for why some women choose to have them removed. Age is another. My gynecologist said they really only recommend removing them if you have a family history or if you're over the age of 65, because she said perimenopause can last years. I mean, like up to 15 years. So even though I'm starting perimenopause, I still have a ways to go according to like the hormones and all that stuff. So we'll see. That's like a fear of mine with because just watching different videos, some women will be like, okay, after they've healed and everything, they have normal sexual relations with their partners, and they still feel urges, all that stuff. They still get lubrication, everything, so I'm hoping I'll be lucky like that. If not, that's stuff that, they make things to help with lubrication, all that stuff. But I'm planning on having this be a series of videos, so I'll share that with you also, how that goes and everything. So this is the first video, which is why I'm having a hysterectomy. And I'll share another video. I'm going to share some things that I'm doing to prepare for the surgery. And then, of course, I'll share, I can't share the exact, I can't like share, well, I can't show you the actual surgery, but things are weird right now with being in a COVID environment. And that was the other reason I wanted to share with you guys, is because a lot of the videos I found were pre-COVID. So, people got to have their partners or their mothers or, people with them. And in a COVID environment, like today, I had to go have a COVID test. And then Wednesday, basically my husband is going to just be dropping me off at the door. I can't have anybody with me. So they'll call him when the surgery's over, and they'll call him when it's time to come pick me up. My surgery is going to be outpatient. Some of the videos I saw, the women were kept overnight. That's the other thing. Mine is going to be laparoscopic. As far as I know, that's the plan, but I know there is not a risk, but the possibility that if they get in there and things are a little bit more than what they're thinking and they can't do it laparoscopic, then they will do abdominal, where they cut the abdomen like a cesarean. And those women, they stay in the hospital. It depends, sometimes overnight, sometimes a little bit longer. But for me, the plan is I will go in, my surgery is going to be at 7:30 in the morning, and then I will have the surgery, go through recovery, and get sent home. So that's the plan. I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm forgetting. I don't want this to be too terribly long, but I wanted to explain why I'm having the hysterectomy. I don't have any other options because there's no cure for post-ablation syndrome. So yeah, I hope this helped. If you guys, since I haven't had my hysterectomy yet, if you have any advice, I'd be happy to take it. I have bought like a belly band. I've bought several things to that I've gotten from advice from Hyster Sisters, which is a group on Facebook, and then also the different YouTube videos that I have viewed. Women have shared their stories and just things I've read online and everything. So, but I'm open to any advice. I'm open to well wishes. And if you guys can think of any questions, let me know, and then I'll try to address them in future videos. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope this will help. Bye.